Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and the guy that won't leave Scott McNeil alone. You have been warned. This is Random Review.
Today we are finishing off the Earthspark Deluxe Class Wave 1 with, of course, Bumblebee, who I think between brand new hotness that is Twitch and strangeness that is new Autobot-friendly Megatron, I think Bumblebee just being yet another fancy sports car yellow Autobot is pretty much just old hat at this point, so no real shock. I'd save him for last. But let's see if I save the best for last. That's the important part, right? Right. So, we are looking at him in his new, very sleek, very cool looking vehicle mode. Of course, not based on any real world car that I know of. Now, to be fair, I am not a car guy, so if there's some concept car this resembles, please let me know. I literally have no idea. What I don't know about cars, I do know about aerodynamics, and this thing seems extraordinarily unaerodynamic with these big, what I assume would be intakes in the back, which just seem to be big blocks for air to hit. So I'm glad this thing is running some kind of crazy Cybertronian engine, because I don't think it'd get up to speed very well if it did not. But weird blocks aside, everything else to him does seem pretty cool. I do like the line that the car has across the top. It does look a lot smoother and cleaner when we look at it from a profile. And I do like the black racing stripes, traditional at this point of a Bumblebee. It does look really nice. Like, design-wise, yes, the aerodynamics are probably not the best. But just as a cool-looking car to impress kids, okay, fine. Everything there seems really nice. So you can see it's mostly cast in this yellow plastic, which is not quite like bright yellow. So it does have like a nice temper to the yellow to it. The top piece and the doors are done in translucent, kind of a smoky black plastic. So they do have a little bit of difference in the shade of yellow from the center of the car, from the front and back. Always kind of distracting once you notice it. That's why I pointed out. You're welcome. Autobot symbol bold up in the front. Headlights painted bright blue on the window. Why is the glass in the front of the car painted, but the windshields are not painted? Like, why not just make all of it translucent if it's supposed to be glass? Why not make it all solid so I don't have to worry about translucent plastic all the time? And so you don't make the car look super cheap by having like half of it be a completely different shade of yellow. My little quibbles, you know me. Looking at the rear, brake and tail lights all painted up in red. It's actually kind of rare that the rear gets painted, but it's because it becomes the kneecaps on the toy, so not a big surprise. What I think is interesting is, like, the rear has these big, thick off-road tires, while the front are these super narrow ones. So, I mean, I guess that's more traction. I guess that is him trying to get up to speed, so can't really blame him. Yeah, and he looks nicely tucked up in there in the robot mode. As we can see, the chest in the robot mode is going to be fake. Does not include the actual top of the car in any way, shape, or form. Kind of typical. So, yeah. It's not a bad car. If we want to arm the car, he does come with a weapon. Now, there's actually 1, 2, 3 spots where we can mount this thing, depending on the angle you want. We can mount it in the front, which gives it this weird giant engine look to it, and blocks the view of the driver. We can put it in the rear, which I think looks better this way, but as like another intake, and then like some supercharger in the back. Or plug it into the top, which is just like typical. Now, when it comes to their standard rifles and guns, I really hate how it looks when they're just like pointed straight out. Like it looks weird. It looks really weird. However, when it's one of these that's supposed to look like it's transformed out of his arm, it also makes sure that it looks like it's transformed out of his vehicle. Meaning, yeah, I kind of like the look of this better than I do if he just had like a rifle sticking out of his roof. That would be odd. This is fine, though. So let's put that aside. Plug that off. And we'll go into transformation. Now, only word of warning I have, engineering wise is there's a little bit of a tolerance issue on mine where it doesn't quite plug in here all the way. Everything else does seem fine though, and for all I know it's just like a minor misalignment because there's a few things in this section that have to rotate. But we can get this into vehicle mode now, which we'll do by separating out the sides, the doors and the rear section at the same time, because they're both oppositely hinged and will come together and go apart at the same time. Alright, so with that done, crack this part open. We'll start getting all of the what will be the arms out of the way. They're like kind of side pegged in on the inside here, so make sure you rotate them as you pull them out in order to unhook them. From there, we can flip the hands out, rotate them around 180 degrees like so. That's going to bring those arms to that spot. From there, we'll deal with the back kibble at the end. But from there, let's talk about the legs. We're going to go to the rear section here and flip those ends up and then hinge them all the way over. They will not quite click into place. You got to put those kneecaps, peg them in like that, and that's going to secure the legs together. From there, use that rotation just above the knee to rotate them all the way to the front. And then comes a fun little part of the transformation. So to get the feet, just pull these out a little bit, like so, and then rotate them around. And there you have a foot. It's a very intuitive bit of transformation that kind of reminds me of like the really smooth stuff that animated would do during its transformations. Like a natural piece of that block coming off and forming the foot so smoothly. That's actually a really nice little touch of quality engineering. Alright, now we got to deal with all of this. So, the tolerances here are not too great. There's not a lot of room to get all this kibble folded up the way it's supposed to be. So you're just going to have to try your best and be willing to flex a little bit of plastic in the process. Really, Bumblebee's head needs to go down to get out of the way of this, but we can make do. So fold this up here. Then this all has to fold. These little tabs now need to fold into there, which is this is a mite tricky, and it's going to take a little bit of flexing, which is not a comfortable move to make, but it will make it without really hurting anything. But it's, as you can see, it's not the cleanest thing to do. There we go. So yeah, that's uncomfortable. That is uncomfortable. That is really not a good piece of engineering. It folds up nice and tight to the back, but it really doesn't feel good getting all of that accordioned up. There's just not enough room. Like, it needed one extra hinge, or like the head on Bumblebee needed to go down so I could get a little bit more, get it vertical a little bit more before I brought it down to his back. Either way, it's not a very smooth transition. Doesn't feel right, but it can be done. And once it is done, we have a Bumblebee in a very nice looking robot mode, very akin to how he looked in the cartoon. So yeah, other than that last section, it's not a bad transformation. Some pretty simple stuff in engineering going on, with one engineering trick I really like and one that I really do not like. Mixed bag, but you know, that's about on par for a deluxe class from the kids line. As we can see, a lot more black is exposed, as you would expect of a Bumblebee toy. We now have another Autobot symbol. Everything in the chest is designed to look like the top of the car. And of course, yes, we have yet another Bumblebee head sculpt to take a quick zoom in look at and confirm that it does look like a Bumblebee. He's got the chin goatee thing from the current model, horns there, like he's definitely leaning much more toward the G1. Actually, more toward, God, what was the line? Was it Thrilling 30 that did that IDW Bumblebee who was like G1, but he's a sports car? I can't remember. There's so many Bumblebees, it's hard to keep track anymore. But we've seen a Bumblebee done quite similarly to this, actually. Like the mold that ended up being Nightbeat eventually. So yeah, there's familiarity with this take on Bumblebee. It's not a bad take, though. It doesn't look bad at all here. So, if we look around him, like we said before, he does clean up exceptionally well. He's got a big shell of the car, but it's all folded back really nicely on the figure. The only thing that I would prefer against would be these door wings on the shoulders. I'm not a fan of the door wings being stuck to the shoulders because it just looks really awkward when you move the shoulders around for poses and the doors go with it. Like, when it's supposed to look like, I assume it's supposed to be door wings, like, because he's a Bumblebee. I assume that's supposed to be the thing. But when the wings move with it, it doesn't look like they're, like, in that position naturally. So it's a little bit of annoyance, but not like a game breaker or anything. I do like how, like, nice and, like, simple they kept it. Like, he looks like the animation model. They didn't go crazy with the detailing. There's enough little tech greeble here and there to make it look like a robot, but beyond that, he's trying to keep it about as animation accurate as they can get, which is, ultimately my preference. So, articulation. So, how we do on articulation? So, he's ball jointed in the head, but up and down is pretty limited, but you do have 360 degrees of rotation there. The shoulders are ball jointed in that weird way where it's like on the inside of the shoulder, so you can get some poses, and there is some universal movement, but it is a little bit restricted. Not so much as Megatron, though. It just is going to end up looking weird if you start posing his arm outward like that. Nothing in the bicep rotation, but we do have a ball jointed elbow to simulate that. Nothing in the wrist, nothing in the waist. It just feels like there's just too much going on there for them to create a waist rotation that gets around it, but there's really nothing besides that that's stopping it from having a waist joint, so it's just a little bit odd. Alright, thighs. Yeah, great range in the thigh motion with the ball joint. You have the rotation there just above the knee. Knees go well beyond 90 degrees, always like to see that. And then back and forth pivot with the foot, a little bit of back and forth at the ankle. Gives you plenty of range of motion on this guy. So I said, I just made a video mentioning that, the Kid Appeal character, the Kid Appeal heroes, never really seem to get great toys, and that's for several reasons. Ultimately, it boils down to they're usually the first ones off the lot, so they're not used to the new gimmick, budget design, etc. Or just I don't know. They just need to get the big hero out as fast as possible, I guess. But this one came out really well. I'm actually really happy with it. Now, granted, there's going to be others for this Bumblebee that are probably in the flip changer line, the gimmicky lines, warrior class, etc. Not going to be nice as this, but hey, this is the one we get, so we will enjoy it. Now, I can give him his arm-mounted weapon, which does a pretty good job of actually looking like it is transformed out of his arm. I like the silver for the barrel and the extra blue to give it like a little bit of like a visor effect on it. In the vehicle mode, it makes it look like he's looking out the blaster when you hook it onto the front or the top of the car. Here, it's just a little interesting bit of detail. And yeah, gives him a little bit more of a dynamic look to him. So, that, my friends, is going to be your Earthspark Bumblebee. It's a fine toy. Out of the Deluxe first wave, it's probably the most solid. It's probably the most all-around figure. Twitch has better articulation. Megatron's got a better overall look. This one kind of hits the balance in between. And that's pretty much an appropriate spot for Bumblebee. It's good. Not fantastic, but it's good. I don't really have anything, deal-breaking going on with the toy. And that's all I really ask for at the end of the day. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching all three of these Cyberverse Deluxe reviews. Cyberverse, I keep saying that. Earthspark. I've been really hyped up for Earthspark. The show's been really good. I've been looking forward to the toys. I'm happy to say that for the first wave, the toys don't really disappoint. I'm generally happy with what I bought. So, when you start seeing them around, yeah, have a little bit of confidence. It looks like they're actually going to do a good job on this one. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.